and welcome. My name is Jocelyn and today we're doing kind of a bit of a throwback, a bit of a tutorial. If you haven't seen my 18 and 2018 project pan, then you might not know that the palette that I'm panning for the year is the Naked 2 palette. I've been using this a lot lately, well, for the last 6 months, and I had a comment somewhere and somebody asked if I could do a tutorial using this palette, and I know it's an old palette, but I feel like a lot of people have this palette, and maybe some people would be interested in my favorite, my go-to look with this palette. I do tend to use this a lot during the work week, so I figured that's the look that I would do. Normally I wear a foundation during the work week that's a little more natural, a little more dewy sometimes, so not something quite this full coverage. Right now I have on the Fenty Beauty foundation, but it's the weekend right now that I'm filming this, so I thought I would just use the foundation that I normally use on the weekend, which is the Fenty Beauty foundation. So that's what I have on my face. I've also got some blush, bronzer, and my eyebrows done, and concealer, of course, and powder, all of that stuff. Normally I never do my face first, I do my eyes first, but today I thought we'd switch it up. That way I don't look like a ghoul the rest of the video, or most of the video. I look a little more presentable. So today we are going to be doing a flashback tutorial using the Naked 2 palette and my go-to look with it. I'm going to be using a total of 5 shades and I'll tell you which one I'm using as we go along with it. I haven't put eye primer on. Let me do that real fast. Alright, so the primer that I used is the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. I just have this little deluxe size sample that I am trying to use up. I got it from Sephora, it was like 100 points, but I know that I'm about to run out of that. So recently when I was at Ulta, I did pick up the Catrice Prime and Fine eyeshadow base. I hope it's good. When I looked online, it did have a lot of good reviews. I like how that it has this little doe foot applicator, so we'll see. I'm getting real close to the end of this one, so I'll be having to break this one out pretty soon. I'm pretty excited for it. It's been a long time since I've tried a different eyeshadow primer, so it'll be interesting. I wanted to try one from the drugstore since this one can get kind of expensive, even though it lasts a long time. All right, so our first shade that we're gonna use in the Naked 2 palette is the shade Foxy. It's just the neutral beige shade. I've basically used this up, but there is a little bit in there that I'm just trying to kind of scrape out of the sides. And what I like to do is just kind of place this from the crease up to set that eyeshadow. I don't like to put it on the lid of my eye, just because I like to leave that as tacky as possible, because when I use a shimmer shade, I just feel like that might help a little bit. I don't know. It's just how I've always done my eyeshadow. Should I zoom you in anymore? Probably, huh? That would probably be helpful. Oh. Hopefully it'll help in seeing the application. Next, we are going to move into the crease, and I'm going to take this shade right here. That is the shade Tease. It's one of the few matte shades that's in this palette. That's one of the challenges with this palette, is that there's only 3 matte shades. There is the beige shade, and that's not the right word, ivory shade, this transition shade, and then the black shade, and that's it. I use the shade Tease quite a bit when I dip into this palette, so that's what the shade we're going to use today. I'm just going to take a very fluffy blending brush, and I'm just gonna take it and put it into the crease. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, now we're gonna move to the other eye. So now that we have that transition shade down, I am going to take a blender brush and I'm just gonna kind of try and blend those edges to make sure that they're not too sharp. Do you see this little eyebrow hair right there? He just does not want to stay in place. All right, so that is going to be good enough. So that is shades 1 and 2. I have 3 more shades that I use. Next, we are actually going to put the shimmer shade down. I'm going to go in with one of my Beauty Big Bang brushes. I'm going to spray it with Fix Plus. That might have been too much. Oh well. And I am going to dip into this shade right here. This is the shade YDK. It is a beautiful, like, shimmery taupe color. We're just gonna pick some of that up on the brush and we're gonna pop it. Okay, So now we have that shade on, and we could kind of just stop here if we wanted to, but I like to deepen it up a little bit sometimes in the outer corner. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with the shade Busted. It's this dark shade right here. We're gonna go in with a smaller pointer brush, and we're gonna kind of just blend some of that dark Busted shade into our outer crease. All right, so now that we have that placed in, I'm gonna go back in with my blending brush and just make sure that that's all blended. Okay, good enough. And now, before I use the last shade, I'm gonna go into the bottom lash line, and I'm going to take this little like smudgy brush, and then I'm gonna take the shade Tease, this shade right here, and I'm gonna put it all along the bottom lash line. I'm gonna take my small blending brush and I'm just gonna blend that to make sure that it looks uniform. Next, I'm gonna take this little flat brush and then dip in with the shade Busted. Again, it's this really dark shade over here, and I'm gonna put that in the outer corner of my lash line. Okay, and blend that one more time. So last, we are going to take this shade right here. It's this light pink shade called Booty Call. It's a shimmer shade that I like to use in my inner corner and my brow bone, and sometimes I put it like on the tip of my nose, my bridge of my nose, and my cupid's bow, all of that. A good way to try and use up shades is to use them as highlighters. I'm also gonna dip this highlight brush into that shade. I kind of like have to squish it down a little bit so that it gets thinner. And I just kind of pop it in there and then spread it onto my cheeks. Perfect. Okay, so that actually does it with eyeshadow. I am going to put some eyeliner on. Sometimes I use eyeliner during the work week, sometimes I don't. I am going to use the Beauty Big Bang eyeliner to carve out my wing. Well, my eyeliner ended up turning out 110% bigger than I had intended, but I guess this is what we're working with today. Because I put foundation on first, I can't just go in with a Q-tip and wipe it off without messing up everything else. I mean, I don't think it really looks bad, it's just a lot, so that's what we're doing today, I guess. So all I have left is mascara and lip product. I'm gonna go in with my Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. Finally, I'm going to go in with one of the ColourPop Luxe lipsticks in the shade Pinkies Up and put that on. All right. All right, and there you have it. That is my almost everyday look with my Naked 2 palette. That's one of my favorite looks to go for because I really like the way that YDK shade shimmers and looks on the lid. I mean, it's a little bit natural without the winged eyeliner, of course, because that went a little bit crazy today. But normally, this kind of look for the work day is pretty good. Pretty acceptable. Another thing that I frequently do is basically the same exact thing, but instead of the YDK shade, I'll go in with Suspect, put it all over the lid, and then also blend Snakebite into the crease for some depth. That's another thing that I like to do during the work week to get some use out of this palette, but I was using YDK quite a bit recently because I wanted to hit pan on it, and doing it this way really helped me hit pan on it really quick. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my little tutorial, my little flashback tutorial tutorial using the Naked 2 palette. If there's any other palettes that you would like to see this kind of video done on, any older palettes that maybe you have in your collection that you want to see my go-to looks using, let me know down in the comments below. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more content from me. And I think that's everything I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next one.